Welcome to the e-expenses presentation. My name is Chris Upham. I am project managing the system along with colleagues from payroll and the roster team. This presentation will be in two parts. It'll be an introduction into the system, just some explanations of the process and how to navigate through the system. It will follow with a 20-minute presentation of actually going into the e-expenses system and actually creating some claims, adding some trips, adding some mileage, etc, etc. Okay? It'll probably take about half an hour. So the current process is obviously the paper process. The new revised process is electronic. The employer will submit 1 monthly expense claim if they have 2 posts, a substantive post and a bank post. They will submit the 2 claims. This should be no different to how the paper process works. Any receipts are attached electronically to each expense item, or they can be attached as a group to one item. As long as the line manager can see the expense receipts, not a problem. The line manager approves the expense claim. They are notified at the end of each month to ensure that they approve all claims, all their staff's claims, by the cut-off date. This cut-off date is around about the 7th and the 8th of the month. So individuals have the peace of mind that if their expense claim is being approved by the 7th of June, they will be paid that expense in their June payslip. The expense claim is paid to payroll. It's an automatic feed from expenses into payroll. Just to give you some statistics currently, payroll processes around 3,500 to 4,000 expense claims each month, and each month manually. So this system saves a significant amount of time onto payroll, which means that they can be better equipped to deal with the pay issues and obviously the problems that you receive. A couple of declarations by the employee. None of these should be too surprising. Hold a valid driving licence. You have current road tax, MOT and motor insurance for the vehicle you drive on business. We've asked for this information as part of the information gathering process. If these dates do expire midway through the claim or midway through the year, as in which they will do, a warning will appear. The warning does not mean that you cannot submit your claim, cannot get it approved, or cannot get it paid. It's just a process reminder to make sure that if a business insurance has expired, your line manager can see that, and it's their responsibility, or a member of an administration team that they give the control to, for them to update. Okay, but I'll touch on that later on. Okay, the aims and objectives of the expenses. I believe e-expenses can and will significantly reduce the administration involved in entering, approving and processing expense claims, and greatly reduce the potential for error through manual or paper-driven processes. Okay. Some of the benefits. We touched on the timetable around about the 7th of the 8th, but currently, if you submit a June claim on the 2nd of July to your manager, your manager has to then turn that expense claim around that day in order to put it in a post, internal post, down to Winford to payroll. It's about a 2 or 3 day transfer time for them to receive it on the deadline of the 5th and then to process it. So technically you're getting that period of time back because there's no paper transfer. It's an automated electronic approval, electronic submission into payroll. We don't require any paper copies of claims. You don't need to print out the paper copy as a receipt. You don't need to keep any copies of receipts. Receipts are loaded in as well. The system will reduce pay inaccuracies, both for and against, as it says here. A number of queries that come into payroll where the expense claim has been processed incorrectly, home to base has been deducted where it doesn't need to be, and vice versa. Cash in errors where the claim doesn't add down correctly to the total. So there's a number of pay inaccuracies which will benefit the employee, and we do believe it benefit the trust as well. For managers, they have a single sign-on application with the claimant. So it means that you have a tab to claim and a tab to approve, but you are accessing the same system. The system is web-based, so the system is accessed on the front page of the Trust intranet, and it can also be accessed on the internet if you're away from a VPN connection. The final point on the benefits, as at the moment you're unaware of where your claim may or may not be because of the internal mail, the paper transfer. The system is able to track where your claim is as a current claim, when it's been submitted, when it's been approved, and when it's been sent for payment. So at each point in time, if you're processing your current claim, you know where your submitted and your paid one is. Okay. This just touches on the benefits of the expense of a payroll. We mentioned that it reduces the pay inaccuracies, the time-consuming, the interpretation errors. We do appreciate that perhaps in the first month or first week when you're going live, there's a few teething problems that you might not understand various bits of it, but once you've done it once, you'll be more familiar. The system works off a postcode to postcode mapping. So it will calculate the shortest route from A to B on any given route. Appreciating the fact that that route might not be the quickest route, then we have built some additional functionality that enable you to overwrite the A to B distance. So let's say it's 10 miles from A to B, but you travel 12 miles through a diversion, then we can touch on that later and I'll show you how to do that. Triangulation rule is all about the home and base. So please put your actual calculations in gross, do not deduct any of your home to bases. The system does that all for you. So if you start at home, finish at home, you will have 2 lots of your deduction taken from you. If you start at base and finish at base, then obviously there's no deduction because that is all costs that will be reimbursed back to you. Just one thing to note on the home and base. The system will always assume you will start at one of those locations. You should not be starting at a patient's house or at a other location other than home and base, because that is how the system works. That is how the agenda for change rules are governed, and again, this should be no change to how the paper system works. Vehicle checks, duty of care, we touched on this earlier. If your vehicle checks do expire midway through the claim, a warning will trigger, but there's a process there to make sure that's updated by your manager. We've built some real-time rules into the expenses. So let's say that you meant to type in 35 miles travel in a day, you type in 350. So there's a violation or a warning that we've built in to say that the maximum number of miles travelling in that one day is capped at 300. So we're not saying that the 350 is a mistake. By all means, you might well have travelled 350 miles in a day, but just to reassure yourself. And we touched on the internet access from home. Right, so that was a short 5-minute presentation of just some of the processes around it. I will now log into the system and show you how to claim, how to upload receipts, how to submit, etc. Right. The system is accessed on the front page of the intranet, on the staff intranet. Under staff support, 3rd line down, employee online. Okay. One thing to note, your user details, both your username and your password, will be sent to you when you go live. So all teams will go live on the 1st of the month. So if the 1st of the month is a weekend or a bank holiday, it will naturally be the day after, but all the communication that comes out will inform you of your go live date, user guides and any other bits of information that is relevant to you. If you forget your password, click the link, type in your SOMPAR email address, it will then resend you an alphanumeric password and you'll be asked to start again. Okay. Upon your initial login, you will be asked to change your password to something that is familiar to yourself. Right, for those that are rostered, these three tabs should be familiar. For those that are new to employ online, obviously the all important tab is the expenses here. So I'll click on expenses. Okay, I'm going to create a claim. On the left hand side I've got the claims tab, which is where any member of staff can claim expenses. The approvals tab is naturally where you're going to approve your team's expenses if you're an approver. And the vehicle information. The vehicle information shows the number of your cars that you drive on business. So if you've confirmed 1, 2, 3 cars to us, these will be listed here. What is also listed is the insurance, MOT and registration date. So it shows the dates these are valid for. Okay, so fairly useful if you ever need to refer to these for private purposes. If you're not familiar when your MOT is due. Okay, go back to my claims. So the first thing you would do when you go live in a month is to create a claim. You should only be completing this once a month. And obviously if you've got 2 posts, a bank and a substantive, twice for the month. So I hit new claim. This is a free text field, claim for July 16. If you're in the next month, it will then automate to claim for August 16. Postings, if you have multi-postings, these will be listed here. Okay. If you have a bank posting as well as substantive posting, the approving unit will change and default according to the posting. If you do choose bank, please make sure your approving unit is selected back to the manager that is approving it. So i.e. if you're District Nursing Taunton as a posting and you work bank for District Nursing Taunton, please make sure the approving unit reads District Nursing Taunton here. Okay, and then it can go to the appropriate manager for approval. The notes is also a free text field, so this is fairly useful to indicate to the manager if anything is unclear or needs confirming. Could say the business insurance certificate is on its way to you. Okay, this is expired. I click create, and that's your claim created. There's no need to create another claim for the month. Right, we've built the system for 4 individual categories. The mileage option, which encompasses business mileage, lease car mileage, if you're having a change of base, if you've got a voluntary course, a mandatory course, and so on and so forth. Travel, taking a taxi, taking a bus, taking an air or what have you. Subsistence, if you're able to claim either a meal allowance, lunch allowance, or anything else that you're entitled to. And supplementary, so anything else really, but generally car parking, eye tests and course expenses. But I will go into each of these in turn just to give you a bit more information. Each time you create an expense, you'll hit a new expense. Click on new expense here. Okay? Right. The most important field on this screen, I believe, is the mileage expense. It gives your line manager enough information as to why you've travelled and where you've travelled. So for my example today, expenses training, Winford House. I choose business mileage, which is just a general claim you're making. When you select your date, please note you can't claim forward, okay, and nor should you, because you're not familiar with the mileage you're incurring until you've actually travelled. So let's say I travelled today on the 6th of July. I select one of my cars. Just one thing to note, if you come to select your car and it just reads public transport, more than likely you haven't confirmed your cars back to us, so we haven't loaded them on because we're not aware of that, if that is the current car or not. So I select my car today. As I mentioned earlier, you would always start from home or base. The system will recognise when you type the word subject home, it will pick up your home location under your locations. This means that this is locations it's found before, you've used before, and it will remember them. I choose home. I travel to Winford House. I know it's BA22 and it will find the postcode location I found before in your. Okay. on the right hand side, it's showing me I've taken 26 miles. If I click show map and drill in, it will show me the route that it has taken. So this route through Ilchester and to Yeovil. If I hide the map, and let's say I didn't take that route, I took a different route, it was a little bit quicker. Using the drop down, I can select quickest route and overtype that to what I was travelled 29 miles. Okay, at the moment, until you finish your trip, so if you finish at home or base, this will adjust and recalculate on the next leg of the journey. At the moment I'm claiming of 29 miles, but I'm actually getting paid 18.8. It's deducting my home to base. So it's not aware of, at the moment it's saying I've finished at Yeovil. To add another trip, on the left hand side, add trip, it will then make my to location to my default from location. Okay, so I'm starting again back at Winford House. I then travel to Wells, then travel to Priory House to Wells. Click on the location it's found before. I'm using the suggested route here, I'm happy with that. As you can see on the top route, it's now going to pay me my 29 miles because it's saying, okay, I've done another route, I didn't finish at home there, I'll get onto this one. And again, because I haven't finished at home or base, it's still trying to deduct anything. So please don't panic until you've actually finished your journey. Alright, my third and final trip, starting at Priory House, Wells, and let's say I've finished back at base. I type in the word base, it will bring up my Mallow Court base. The same will appear for you. Your home and your base are logged into the system and the system will remember. I select my base, this is recalculated, that's fine. What it's doing here, 20.6 miles, I'm only getting paid 50.5. My home to base one way is 5.1 miles, the difference between these two journeys here. So I'm happy that I might well have started at home, finished at base, so I got one deduction. The deduction always comes from the final journey. Okay, so don't be alarmed, it's taken from this one and not the first one where you started at home. I hit save, and the 65.9 miles I've travelled today is now added back in the total here. This summary will always show cumulative figures. So as and when you add any miles, any out-of-pocket expenses, this will show here as a summary. If I made a mistake on this claim or I need to edit it, on the right hand side I can edit my claim. Go back into my claim, and one area on the left hand side which I didn't mention earlier, carry passengers or I carried equipment. Okay, I carried a passenger today, carried a passenger for one passenger, 29 miles, and I enter the colleague's name. Okay, scrolling down, let's say I also carried some equipment. Carried equipment relates to heavy or bulky equipment. Okay, heavy items only, you require a risk assessment to be completed by your line manager before you can actually carry heavy items. And this should be renewed each year, or if any of the heavy items change for any reason. Bulky equipment, this is where you're not able to fit a bulky bit of equipment in the back of your car, and you have to fit it cannot fit in the boot of your car, and has to fit in the back of your car, and the seats have to go down. Okay, just for information, passengers are costed at 5p per mile, and carried equipment you're paid at 3p per mile. Type in my heavy equipment there and hit save. Okay. If you do forget any of the information, a red box is entered around the area of concern. Tick save. Okay, and those are absorbed into that line there. Your line manager will now see some icons that will indicate you've carried equipment or you've carried a passenger. Okay, I'll touch on a couple others of the mileage. For lease car users, there is the lease car drop down under here. Select lease car, select the date it was incurred on the 5th, let's say. One other thing to note here, the system will allow you to go to claim 3 months back. So let's assume you go live on the 1st of August, you miss your August claim, you miss your September claim, in October you can claim October, September and July. Anything above that 3-month rule, obviously that has to be approved by the head of division. 5th of July, I select my company car, so obviously the lease car users only have a company car, but I'm not able to drive a private car as well. So let's assume that is a company car. I missed my description here, so meetings at, let's use Winford House again. Okay, let's say I started at base. Okay, I go to Yeovil. On the drop down here, I've also got some other areas. A roadblock on diversion. Let's assume we took a diversion today and it took 35 miles. I'll add the trip and I'll go back to base. Okay, as you can see, there's no deduction through either of these because I've started at home, started at base even, and finished at base. Okay, I hit save, and there's a warning has appeared in the top. What we've done to try and control some of the values in here is to put a tolerance so that if the figure that you enter in here for your mileage exceeds 25% suggested distance, so suggested distance, if you remember, was 25.9 miles, and we're using 35, it's just a warning that says, well, okay, are you sure it's 35? If it is, fine. Happy for you to proceed, save, continue with warnings, but a little triangle will add here. Okay, your line manager will see what the warning is made up of, and obviously can query it if needs be. But if it's a valid, bona fide reason that you did do a roadblock or diversion for extra 10 miles, not a problem. Also on here, I won't go into these, but it's very similar. There's a business mileage overnight stay only, a change of base mileage. There is a separate guide for this that I'll show and refer to you later. So if you do have a change of base mileage and it is unclear, then do give myself or Mandy a call. Mandatory course and voluntary course. There is a difference between these, which is why these are separated. A mandatory course might be a health and safety training or fire safety training, which is paid at a higher rate at 56 pence, whereas the voluntary course mileage might be a course that you choose to go on, a college course or a university degree course, and this is paid at a lower rate, the public transport rate. Okay, so please do that, bear that in mind. Okay, the second bracket of travel, very similar. You put your expense description in, so okay, bus to London for a course, that's fine. Public transport on the bus, incurred on the 1st of July, cost £25, and you went from location X to location X. Okay, some new functionality that is now available as from the beginning of July is that upload images to support your claim. So once you have scanned your image or your images through the printer or sent them via your phone, they will be available on your computer, on your My Pictures. To add an image, click on Add Image in the top corner, choose your image, and it's there. Okay, if you want to check it's the right one or just confirm what it is, you can click on it once, it will increase the size, click on it again, and then you can scroll down using the left mouse button. Okay, and close that. What will happen when you scan an image in, it will force this through here as a tick. You don't need to tick receipt available. If you tick save, your receipt is loaded on, that's fine. Subsistence, again by clicking on new expense. What categories we have here: evening meal allowance, lunch allowance, if these are applicable. Let's choose an evening meal allowance Okay, it was in a hotel in London, incurred on the 1st of July, where I had my bus stay. Let's say I'm paying for £16. There's a receipt available. I hit save. A violation has appeared here because the maximum amount that you can claim for an evening meal allowance is £15, which says it there. Okay, and this is as per the agenda for change rules, so we cannot exceed anything other than that. Let's add my image. Another image here. Okay, you have a choice of how you wish to upload images. We do appreciate that there are a number of staff in the trust that have 10, 15 expense receipts per month, and we don't expect you to upload each of these against each one of these expenses. So for instance, let's say you've got 5 travel, 5 subsistence and 5 supplementary. We're happy for you to assign or load the 15 receipts on one page against one of these lines. It saves you having to load each time onto the printer. Okay. Supplementary, again, very similar process. Add in a description. Choose car parking. We've obviously got other areas here: eye tests, course expenses, course fees, etc. Choose a car parking. Okay, the 1st of July was a busy day. £4.50. I can tick receipt available here, because what we're saying is that receipt image there is against one of these other ones. So as long as you've got a receipt that covers that expense and the image is included in one of these other areas, not a problem. So at the moment we've got 2 mileage entries, a travel, subsistence and supplementary, all cumulative in this total. As you can see, in the £44.50 is made up of my one travel item of my bus, my subsistence and supplementary. One thing that won't calculate is that the number of miles here will not convert to pounds and pence in this system. It will only convert to what the rate you will receive for it when it enters into payroll. So don't think that you're going to get 126 miles at the £44.50. These are 2 separate identical areas, okay? Okay, we've saved this. The system has the ability to save on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or as and when you choose to complete your claims. So you can log out with the peace of mind knowing that the next time you log in, your details will be there, saved and ready to add any further entries. Let's say that this claim here we've done for the week. You now want to add some further entries to it. Please edit the claim by hitting the pencil here. Please don't create a new claim for each expense you're creating. Your claim incorporates every single expense line into it, okay? So you don't need any more than one current claim shown at any one time. To edit, click on the pencil and then go through the same process as I've explained. Let's assume you've got to the end of the month and you want to submit your claim. You can submit your claim through here on the screen, or if you're back on the front screen, you can submit it through the green arrow there. There's a text box to indicate what it means. Let's submit that. A disclaimer now appears on the screen. This is exactly the same and reads exactly the same as the paper. It says that none of these expenses are met by another organisation. You have the necessary certificates in place, and obviously consent to the disclosure of information for fraud purposes or audit purposes, and they were actually necessarily incurred while engaged on the business status. I hit accept because that all seems fine. My current claim now moves to my submitted claim. Okay, it shows status submitted. When my manager comes to approve that, it will then show manager approved. It will then default automatically to something called payroll approved. It's gone beyond the point of you actually clawing it back, changing it, editing it and resubmitting it. You can unsubmit your claim. but only up until the point that it hasn't been approved. Once it's been approved, as I mentioned, it's gone too far. Once it has been approved, it's got a green tick on here. You can click on here for more information. It shows the date that the manager has approved it, 1st of July. It will then feed into sent for payment once the cut-off has been made. So the cut-off, as I mentioned before, the cut-off is around about the 7th or the 8th of the month. So here the run was sent to payroll on the 8th of June. You then know that the peace of mind that your claim for June at 76 miles and £19 will be paid in your June payroll. Okay. One thing I will do is now show you what the line manager will see. So I'll show you how to approve your claim. So clicking on the expenses tab above, a line manager will see claims approvals. On the approvals tab, it will show any outstanding approvals, anything awaiting payment, anything rejected. So this is my top claim here. I click on the claim. It shows the master data information, the summary totals. It shows the claim has one warning, and it will show my claimant's notes. So business certificate is on its way. Okay, so this is separated into the 4 categories that we've analysed before: the mileage, travel, subsistence, and supplementary. It shows a description here. It shows the route taken. These 4 symbols also indicate some other bits and bobs we've completed. So leg 1, we've taken a commode, a heavier bit of equipment at 21.4 miles. We've taken a passenger at 29 miles. It shows I've got an inconsistent mileage reason, so I took in the quickest route, which it differs from the suggested route. And here it actually tells me what route we have taken. Okay. If you try and approve the expenses before you have viewed any of the receipts, it will give you a warning. Please check the claim before submitting. Okay. Anything with a red box around will indicate there's a warning, there's a problem. Please check attached receipts. So a line manager has to view the receipt by clicking on the paper clip, scrolling in as we did before, checking it's okay, and closing. And the same will apply to the other receipts. This is a group of receipts, as we loaded earlier, showing some car park tickets and a couple other receipts as well. Those are now turned red. If you're happy with all of these, then you can bulk approve or bulk reject. It saves you having to go into every single line and reject or approve when necessary. Let's say you want to bulk approve them all, with the exception of parking. If you try and reject any claim, it will ask for a comment below. So let's just say parking is free here. You hit submit. There's a disclaimer for the manager. Confirm you have read all the warnings, hit the receipts, and abided by the terms and conditions. The moment you hit confirm, the accepted claims will now proceed for payment. The rejected claim, or the rejected line, will then return back to the individual, and they will be asked to either resubmit it correctly or delete it. They will see the comment here, so they have some idea as to why you're rejecting it. So managers, please do put a viable comment here, so it gives a bit more information back to the individual. Okay, so that's how managers approve the claim. One final bit on the system I will show is around about the vehicle checks. So under the expenses admin tab, which all managers and or administrators will see. So managers, you are able to cascade that responsibility down to the administrators for them to update the vehicle checks in your team. So they will see there should be nothing that's unassigned. These will all be assigned to you when your team go live. I've got nothing expired, so I've got, let's assume it's my claim here. So to edit the vehicle check, my MOT on my Ford is due on the 11th of July 16. So to update this, once you've seen a certificate, once you're happy that they've confirmed that, click on the date here, move it forward a year, and then the warning turned to green. There's no need to change the valid from date. Keep that as it is, at least then it pushes a year on and all your claims are present and correct. Okay? That is the system. I will now show you the support pages. For all teams that are going live, it is clear from the emails and the communication what is required from you, and any useful guides, links, I will be sending that to you as and when the time is right. So the A to Z directory, under finance, we built an expenses page. The front page explains some of the benefits, the processes, what the account status is. Let me just confirm one thing, that staff that are rostered currently, that are using their account frequently, their username and password will remain the same. This will not change. For staff that are new to employ online, stroke roster, you will be provided with your username and password when your department go live, so on the 1st of the month. This explains the teams that have gone live to date. Okay, scrolling back up, on the left hand side, support and frequently asked questions. If there are any queries around expenses, the email address is there, or Mandy Powell's contact number, or myself. For any roster queries, these are specific posting queries or any actual roster, annual leave, etc. There's the email address and a contact number. Okay, please don't direct any expense queries to the roster team. Frequently asked questions. We've tried to generate as many of the complex or trivial questions that have come out of some of the training sessions onto this page here to help you. Okay, so please do take a look down there. Just stepping back, on next one down, guides and useful information and links. All the guides that you need are listed here. So the employee guide, the manager guide, the e-receipt guide in full. A number of these points in here are replicated in these guides as well, where appropriate. I mentioned earlier about the protected change of base guide. If you're paid excess travel, so obviously you have a protection for your home, the difference between your home to old base and your home to new base. Have a look at the guide there. If you do get any queries, then by all means contact one of us. The agenda for change policies, travel subsistence. These will indicate what rate you get paid for the various travel, what rate you get paid for overnight allowance, and what have you. If you change your vehicle details form post go live, this is the form that needs to be completed and sent to payroll. Just a couple of other useful bits of information. There's a list of location postcodes and key areas around Somerset on this link. This shows all the base addresses that we hold and some other useful locations. This could prove quite useful for you when you're creating your claims. For managers and administrators, we hold a shortcut to DVLA website. One thing to bear in mind: the supplier is looking to tailor the vehicle checks. So they will, the system will talk to DVLA website and will update the vehicle checks as and when they expire on a real-time basis. So if you renew your tax, the DVLA website will update it. This will update the expenses. Bear in mind this is still fairly new for them, so it's still a couple of months away. If it comes in, as and when it comes in, obviously I will be communicating that to you. One final guide are the video guides. So these show a 2 to 3 minute presentation of each of these areas that we've gone through today. They don't completely replicate our system, but they give you a 99% assurance of how to process and progress through the claims, through the system, and submit your claim appropriately. Okay. This presentation in time will also be listed here. So for the staff that can actually refer to it, new starters can see it as well. That completes my presentation. One other thing just to touch on and just to confirm, the information gathering, that's the email that was sent to you which confirms your home, your base and your car information. These bits of information are critical to the system working correctly, calculating your base correctly. So if you've sent the information back, there's nothing for you to do before you go live. Obviously, you've watched this presentation, you can feel free to look at the guides. If you haven't sent the information back and confirmed it, you can use the system, you'll still have and receive your login details, but it won't calculate correctly. Your car won't be showing, your home to base deduction will not be calculating correctly. So please can you submit and confirm that information back to us as soon as possible. Okay, many thanks for your time, thank you for listening, and goodbye.